Hello guys, we hope everyone is doing great. Welcome back to our channel. So today in this video, we are going to discuss about Optum interview questions or interview experience. So let us see. So here is the mail that we have received. So if we talk here, so this was for a senior software engineer role. So the interview was conducted for senior software engineer role, and there were two technical rounds and one manager and HR round. And here the interview, like our subscriber friend was selected in the interview, and he was having 4.5 years of experience at the time of interview, and the package that was offered is 22 lakhs per annum, and his current package is 7 lakhs. So it's a very good hike, I would say. So the topics that were from which the questions were asked are like, there were questions asked on Java 8 coding, collection interview questions, multi-threading, exceptions, Spring Boot, and microservices. So ideally, if you are looking out for the interview questions that are being asked at Optum, or if you want to know what kind of questions can be asked to a 4.5 years of experience Java developer, so this video would definitely help you. Or else, if you are looking out for Java 8 coding questions, or collections interview questions, or multi-threading interview questions, or questions on interview questions on Spring Boot, or microservices, this video would definitely help you. So let us start. So first, I would like to talk about the coding questions. So there were ideally 3 to 4 coding questions that were asked. So the first one was longest palindrome in the string. So there will be like we will be given a string and we need to find out the longest palindrome. So it looks very simple, but when you uh, go to solve it, it's a bit tricky interview questions actually. If you want to consider the time constant and memory, so it is a tough question actually, I would say. And then the second question, find the duplicate words in a string. So this is an average question and was asked to implement post get put API, like creating the employee, updating the employee, and getting the employee. So this was the third, and fourth was continuation of the third. As part of API, I was told to use Java 8 features in get call to filter out the employees. So these were the coding questions that were asked. So next I would talk about the manager. So in the manager round questions were asked on agile process. So mostly these days are like, once you clear the technical round of any company, you're almost in, because usually managers doesn't have anything to ask, as once you get a green signal from the technical team, mostly you will be in the teams. So just for the namesake, they would ask the questions on anything, like previous experiences or current project, your roles and responsibility, or like agile process. And there can be few questions on agile as well, like how much day the sprint last, or what all ceremonies that we participate. So that kind of questions, and mostly this would be like an HR round as well, like where we discuss about the salary. So coming to the next question, so this is the question, explain distributed transaction. So this comes from microservices interview questions, you can say. So transactions that span over multiple, like physical systems or computers over the network, are simply termed as distributed transaction. In the world of microservices, like today, a transaction is distributed to multiple services that are called in a sequence to complete the entire sequence. But the problem that we are facing with this is, with the advent of microservice architecture, we are losing the ACID nature of databases. Transactions may now span multiple microservices and therefore databases. The key problem we would face are, how do we keep the transaction atomic? If you want to know like what atomicity means, that is, in a transaction either all the steps are completed or no step is completed. How do you handle concurrent requests? In an object, if an object from one of the microservices being persisted to the database at the same time, and another request reads the same object, should the service return the old data or the new data? So ideally, the two possible solutions here are, one is two-phase commit, and other thing is saga vc, or this can even said as eventually consistency and compensation. So these are the two ways with which we can resolve the issues that we are facing the distributed transactions which comes up with microservice architecture. So the next question, explain Eureka in microservices. So ideally, Eureka servers, also referred as Netflix Service Discovery Server, is an application. This is basically an application. If you say so, ideally, this is an application that keep track of all the services. Ideally, Eureka server is nothing but it's an application that keeps track of all client service application. As every microservice has to register with the Eureka server, so Eureka server knows all the client applications running on different ports and IP addresses. It generally uses Spring Cloud, and it's not heavy on application development process as well. So this is about the Eureka server. Basically, this is an application which keep tracks of all the applications that gets registered here. So it will know about each and every service that is running on which port and which server or node. Okay, so coming to the next question, ask the advantages and disadvantages of microservices. So you can list down all the things that you know. Mostly the disadvantage is the monetary thing to maintain the infrastructure. It's a bit costly. There are a lot of advantages, and to that, coming to the next question, questions on Spring OAP, not very deep, just the definition. So Spring AOP was last like point, cut, join point. All the definitions would have been asked, and maybe asked about the real time, like where we have used in the project as well. Questions on annotations that I have worked on. So list down all the annotations that you can answer very good. Like whenever you say at the Spring Boot application, don't definitely you can expect questions on what Spring Boot annotations provides the functionality. So you need to know in and out of that annotation. So only those annotations we should say, I would say. So coming to the next question, a lot of questions on exceptions, like how do we create, how do we handle the exception, and all those things that can be asked here. Next question, what is concurrent hash map and hash table? Why is concurrent hash map considered faster than hash table? So basically, concurrent hash map was introduced in 1.5 to store the data using multiple buckets. As the name suggests, it's allow concurrent read and write operations to the map. It only logs a certain portion of the map while doing iteration to provide the thread safety, so that the other readers can still have access to the map without waiting for iteration to complete. Coming to hash table, it is a thread safe legacy class that was introduced in older versions. Like I believe it was there in Java from the beginning, so it just logs the entire map while doing the iteration. And concurrent hash map and hash table both are thread safe, but concurrent hash map generally avoids read locks and improves performance, unlike hash table. So concurrent hash map also provides log free reads, unlike hash table. Therefore concurrent hash map is like considered as faster than hash table, especially when the number of readers are more compared to the number of writers. So this was about the concurrent hash map and hash table. Next question, what is blocking queue? So this is one of the like important question, I would say, for experienced candidates. So blocking queue basically represent a queue that is thread safe. Producer thread inserts the elements into the queue using put method unless it gets full, and consumer threads take resource from the queue using take method until it's empty. But if the thread tries to dequeue from an empty queue, then a particular thread will be blocked until some other thread inserts an item into the queue. So that's a basic idea about the blocking queue. So next question is, what is runnable and callable interface? In which scenario you use them? So ideally, both are used to create threads. So if you want to get back the response uh, process, so we can use a callable interface here. And if we don't want, we can use runnable interface. Why wait, notify, and notify all methods are in object log? Because of this methods acts upon the object. So basically in multi-threading environment, the different threads communicate using these three methods. So that's the reason these are on the object. What's the difference between class lock and object lock? Ideally both are same. If we are doing uh, locking at the class level, then it is called class lock. And if we at all we are doing it the object lock, then it is called object lock. So ideally, how we do, like we use synchronous keyword, and if we at all to the argument we are passing the class name dot class, then it is class level locking. And if at all we are passing this as a reference in that synchronous method, so that is object lock. Internal implementation of hash map. So one must know, this is like a very important interview question, like how hash map stores the key value pair. So if you all you don't know, please do like prepare well on this thing. Why is delete function faster in linked list than an array? So ideally delete function is faster in linked list, as user needs to make a minor update to the pointer value so that the node can point to the next successor in the list. So that's why it is faster. Asked to write code, be efficient way to implement a singleton pattern in Java. Yeah, so ideally whenever we say singleton pattern, so only one instance should be there. And there are few loopholes if we directly go with if at all we are not handling it properly, because using reflection we can break the singleton pattern, or using in the multi-threading environment there are chances that it gets break. So we need to have double check, we need to uh, implement the clone and over the clone method as well. So for the proper like efficient way to implement a singleton pattern. Next question, what is Java bean exactly? So sorry. So basically a bean follows certain standards. It should be a serialized object. Yeah, sorry for that. So what is Java bean exactly? So basically bean follows we need to have certain standards are there that we need to follow, only then the a Java class is known as a bean. That those are like it should implement the serializable and uh, the properties whose getters and setters are just method with certain names, like say get for get name, like that. There is no synonym difference between a Java bean and another class. A class is Java bean if it follows the standards, like it won't have zero, like it will have zero argument constructor as well. So that's a few things about Java bean. Next question is, what is Spring IOC container? So the Spring IOC container is nothing but it creates the objects, wire them together, configure them, and manage their complete life cycle from creation till destruction. The Spring container uses dependency injection to manage the components that make up an application. There are two types of IOCs in Spring. One is Bean Factory container, like that is the simplest container providing basic support to DI. And there is Spring Application Context container. This container, like Spring Application Container context, adds more enterprise specific functionality. Does Spring Bean provide thread safety? The default scope, like the default scope of a bean is singleton, so there will only be one instance per context. That means all the beans having a class level variable that any thread can update will lead to inconsistent data. Hence the default mode is not thread safe. So ideally Spring Bean doesn't provide thread safety. Use a case of default method in my project. So ideally we have to say like where exactly we have used the default method, or how by using the default method what issue we have resolved. Benefits of optional class. So list down all the benefits, like ideally they are for writing the code with clarity we use optional class to avoid the null point exception. So we can say that. Is there anything like static class in Java? Okay, this was written by the friend. I didn't understood the question itself, so she didn't get the question. Ideally, there is we can have inner static classes, but I don't think we can have anything called it static class. For all you know, you can answer it. How do I read or convert an input stream into a string in Java? This question was asked based on my current project. Was asked to write the code as well. So ideally, as maybe based on the current project that our friend works. So they might have said like they have worked on this part. So it was they were asked to write the question, like they were asked to write the code for the same. Then comes the last question: can double equals be used on enum? Yes, enums have type instance controls that allows you to use double equals to compare the instance. So these were the technical questions that were asked to our friend in Optum interview. So here is the mail. So Optum interview questions. Hi team, I recently have attended an interview with Optum for senior software engineer role. There were two technical rounds, which we have already said. Year of experience was 4.5. So the topics also we have discussed. So that's it in this video. So if you haven't subscribed our channel, please do subscribe, like, share, or provide the feedback or will comment section. So please do so share it to other technical platforms as well, so that it might help someone who is looking out for similar kind of videos, and it might help them in cracking out their interviews. So if all you're on our channel for the first time, and if you're wondering who are we are a bunch of software engineers who attend interviews and share our real-time interview experiences. Apart from that, we also share our subscriber friends interview experiences through these videos. And if you want to share your interview experience, you can reach out the email ID that is there in the description. So if you are wondering what are the company names that are getting printed on your screen, so these are the companies that we have already shared the interview experiences. You can visit our channel and get benefit out of them. And that's it in this video. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.